Planning Board meeting to order. We all rise for a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right. Could we have the secretary perform a roll call attendance, please? Whenever you need it.
Baxter, Glorioso,
Here.
Lehan,
Here.
Sabrina,
Here.
Carrasco,
Here.
Sabas,
Here.
Lowell.
Here. Okay. All the board members should have received the minutes from the July 15th meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Okay. Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion on the minutes then? Seeing none. Motion seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Okay. Our first item on the agenda this evening is discussion regarding Old State Road amended site plan.
Hello, how's everybody doing?
Good evening.
Good evening.
So you got the resolution from the planner. You've reviewed it. No questions, I guess, regarding how it's been drafted. But maybe before we go forward, we probably should talk about those parking spaces.
Right.
Did,
We wanted to keep them toward the back. We'd like to keep them gravel if possible. The reason why we didn't show them on the side of the entrance was because the well is there, and we're just trying to keep any kind of oils from being any closer to a well than they need be. So we're going to try to keep those spaces toward the rear.
okay. So keeping them in that current location, which is over there off to the north side of the parking lot?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that was what you put on the last submission. Okay. All right, how's the board feel about that for those overflow parking spaces?
Excuse me.
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, okay. All right. So if everybody's okay with it.
Yep.
I guess
The
then that-
only other thing we were asking for is just due to the timing of the applicant and gaining this approval as it relates to paving. If the applicant wasn't able to pave it before the plants close in November, December, depending on what kind of winter we have, could he have the ability to pave it in the spring if we come into an issue with the plants closing? That was his only concern.
Yeah. Prior to getting a CO, I mean, they're.
Correct.
I don't know. What's everybody's thought on that? I think everybody would rather just see it paved and be done with it and kind of get it out of the way.
Yeah, I guess what would the extent of the work then be if the paving, what work would you be proposing to complete prior to the CO versus?
It would just leave it private gravel, the way it's currently gravel. So if there was a timing issue with the plants and just having that as that final step being completed, that there was some flexibility there. I mean, if not, we could always default to bonding with the building department to do a temporary CO. I don't know if the town would
Yeah.
entertain that.
I think bonding's a little more complicated than just the building department has to go in front of the town board. You have to have an estimate, estimate's got to be put together for what the cost of that would be, and everything else. And then we have to amend this to
Yeah, just
the
to,
resolution.
just to clarify the amendment, you want to see the 2 spaces gravelled as previously proposed, or do you want to see the full row of 5 gravelled as was discussed at the last meeting? Because right now, I believe what you're talking about, that row of 5 parking spaces, 3 would be paved and 2 would be gravel,
Right.
as was previously proposed. Is that what you'd like the resolution to be amended to, or do you want to see the full row of 5?
Well, if it's all gravel, it's a lot more economical for you, right?
Well, it was just
Is there
gonna leave-
is there
they were-
handicap spots in there?
They were going to leave
The
2
handicap
spots.
spot would be
just two
separate and would be
right.
paved.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then, yeah, that,
Yeah, that
I
makes
think
most
it's
sense to
fine.
me.
I think it's fine if they're all gravel, it'll look better.
Yeah.
If they're all gravel.
Yeah.
We're okay with that.
And it'll save them a few
It'll help the
bucks, why
applicant
not?
financially.
Just make sure that when you revise that and you put in the 5 gravel parking spaces that you show wheel stops there,
Yes.
because, you know, that you will
Delineation.
want
Yeah.
wheel stops.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And we still be blacktop in the entrance going in.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that it is simpler. I mean, the building department does not issue temporary COs
Yeah.
contingent on paving that may or may happen down the line. I mean, the simplest thing would be, obviously, it is ideal for everyone if the paving gets done
Yeah.
within the time frame.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the bonding, I think, as you were discussing, gets very complicated very quickly.
Temporary, if a temporary CO is issued, though, is there any monetary value in order to continue the temporary CO, or is it just a,
We don't issue temporary COs. So typically, that's not what the building department does.
that's what I thought, that's, so, okay. So
So
nothing's changed then?
nothing, that wouldn't be an option.
It was just an ask.
So
we
we're
have
back
our-
to, so we're back to what I was saying. is
We have our
the-
marching orders.
Huh?
Don't want to make it more complicated.
Okay, so we need that, so I guess if they don't pave, then it would be, what they need to pave, it would have to be then done, you know, we'd have to bond it.
Yeah,
Town board to accept the bond, no, yeah, okay. Okay. So with that, let me just make sure, Malcolm, you got so the amendment to allow the parking to be,
Yeah, I'll amend that condition to be that row of 5 will be shown as gravel with wheel stops, and then it will still, I guess we'll remove mention to changes to the landscaping plan, and we'll retain mention of the bollards on the plans and in detail for the dumpster enclosure.
Yep.
yeah, okay, all right. So with that,
Also, when you make those changes, just make sure that the changes to impervious cover in your bulk table get updated as well.
okay, any other discussion on the resolution? For amendment?
So, no.
No? Okay. All right. With that, entertain a motion to approve it as amended.
I'll make that motion.
Okay?
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
One opposed.
One opposed. Okay. So you have your approval. We'll get, once it's been amended, we'll get it signed and we'll go forward from there.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, our next item on the agenda this evening is Central Hudson Gas and Electric DC Cable Terminal. Good evening.
Hello again, I'm Dave Tompkins and Cliff Hay from Central Hudson. We've had some correspondence with your consultants this week.
Yeah.
We did submit a revised Plan C-002 with the gravel pad noted that it would be removed. That was one comment we did receive from Hudson Land Design.
Okay, that was
Okay.
based upon the SWIP review.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we just received that this morning, but the plan's been revised, resubmitted electronically. I couldn't get a paper copy in time.
Okay,
But-
all right, so,
And then Mr. Barnett and I had a conversation this afternoon. I've asked our surveyor to prepare a meets and bounds description of the easement. I should have that this week, and I will submit that.
okay. Okay. And Malcolm, you picked up in here the letters from the town engineer, 531 and 630.
I don't know that those are the most up-to-date as of now.
Is there anything beyond that needed to be added?
I don't think we've seen anything since then. They haven't.
Well, we submitted a July 25th response to comments.
Yep.
Okay, that was submitted to the board secretary, to yourself.
I believe that's included in the submitted materials, the comment response form.
Right.
Okay. All right. And those comments that you had sent were in regards to the letters that are stated within the resolution?
Correct. The Paggi letter from May 31st, the H&H letter from May 30th, and Hudson Land Design letter from June 30th.
Okay.
This letter addresses all those comments.
Okay.
And the response today from Hudson Land Design noted that they did receive this. So
Okay.
it was received.
All right. So that will all be, okay, so that will all be reviewed under the compliance review?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, any discussion on this before put it up to a vote? No. Okay, all right, seeing none. Entertain a motion to approve the resolution in front of us for the Central Hudson.
I'll move that.
Second.
Okay, motion's made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Okay.
Thank you
You're all
very much.
set. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, our next item on the agenda this evening is discussion regarding Movement Studio amended site plan. Hi, good evening.
I'm Samantha Fulton.
Okay. Guess you heard some of the discussion earlier in workshop.
Yes, I did. So the three kind of main items from the last board meeting, from our June 3rd board meeting, was to show the parking spaces that are existing, which are shown on the survey as well as the amended site plan, proper lighting on the garage and in the parking area and on the walkway to the garage. So that's shown in the photos that I submitted, as well as the survey and the amended site plan. And then the main issue was the existing septic system, to have an engineer assessment done to, say that it was sufficient for the added square footage. So that was completed by Stacosa Engineering.
Yeah.
And it was determined that the usage, there's no increase in demand of water and sewer demand for the increased square footage.
Okay. Do you have any comments, Malcolm? Everything's been met at this point?
No, all of my comments have been addressed satisfactorily. I think you had one small note, which was to add,
Adding since the water and sewer demand was based on, that letter and calculation was based on the specific use, the employees, the patrons, we're just asking for that language to be added to the plan also, just to clarify it.
Okay, so just for me to know, because this is the first site plan I've ever dealt with, so there can be like text on it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and okay, so would that hold up the vote today, though?
No.
Well, I don't think we're voting today. I think the only thing I'd be doing is approving
Right, that's
the planner to draft a resolution of approval. And then we vote on it at the next meeting, and it probably would be conditioned within the items that need to be put on the plan.
that can be a condition. Compliance with his most recent letter can be.
Right, correct.
A
That's what I'm
condition of
saying.
that.
So that would have been the,
Yeah.
So even if this item didn't have to be added, this still wouldn't be final tonight? I still have to come back to an additional meeting?
one meeting, well, if we authorize the planner this evening to draft the resolution of approval, then it would be voted upon at the next meeting, which would be September 5th, 6th? 4th, okay,
That's Labor Day. Is it Labor Day?
yeah.
No, we don't have it on Wednesday. That's Labor Day, is on
Okay, so that, okay.
Yeah.
So that just means
So it'll be
another
on a
month,
Wednesday,
though, that I
Wednesday
can't
after. Right,
operate.
okay. So that's where we stand, but I think at this point, as long as the staff is satisfied with it, I guess, I don't know if any of the board members have any specific questions?
No. None.
Yeah, we got it.
Everybody's satisfied with what's there? Okay. Yeah, so I think that would be all that needs to be addressed.
Okay, so I'm sorry to,
Okay,
if this is
go ahead,
redundant.
ask the question.
The clear
It's
answer is
fine.
yes.
Yeah.
One meeting.
I'm sorry, what?
Next meeting, yeah.
So
they'll have to wait till
still
next meeting.
another month I can't
Yes,
operate?
correct.
It's tough.
I know, I understand, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but I think, yeah, so, okay. So just to be clear, I mean, it's just, as long as you get the items in both the planner's letter and the engineer's letter addressed and put onto the site plan. Because they'll
Is that
need
the
that,
same
they'll need that for final approval.
Okay.
So that, you might want to get somebody to work on that in the interim.
Absolutely. I would have
Okay.
gotten it sooner. If I would have
Okay.
started working on that sooner.
All right.
Yeah,
So with that,
if I knew.
okay, so with that, the only thing we have left to do this evening for us is just I'll entertain a motion to authorize the planner to draft a resolution of approval for the project.
I'll move that. I'll second it.
Okay, motion's made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, okay, the motion carries. So, work on that, and if you have any questions, or whoever you have that's going to work on that plan has any questions, have them call the office, and they can get it squared away, so,
This office?
yes, the zoning office.
Okay.
Contact B, she'll be able to get you talk to the right person, okay?
Sure will. She's been
Okay.
amazing. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right.
You can call our office too about the language if you guys have
Yeah, I
questions.
might, just because I'm
Yeah.
not sure how that's supposed to look.
Not a problem, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So the next item on the agenda this evening is T-Mobile co-location amended site plan and special use permit.
Bryce McCullough representing T-Mobile and American Tower. We're requesting a special use permit for the tower extension on 26 Don Bosco Boulevard.
Okay. Okay, so with that, let me just see here. Did you receive the letters from both the planner and engineer?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. All right. So I know we did have some discussion earlier during our workshop. And we also did receive a memo from Dutchess County regarding the airport.
Okay.
Have you reached out to the FCC at this point?
Yes, so this is a...
Oh, sorry, FAA, sorry.
Yes,
I'm
we are
using- yeah.
seeking FAA approvals on the project.
Okay.
So
you're
it's all
you're
process.
seeking an approval from them?
Yes,
Okay. And they haven't responded?
not yet.
Okay. All right.
This is below FAA minimums, so,
We've heard that before.
right.
Yeah, but I believe, currently is the tower that's there now, does it have a light on it?
No, it does not.
It does not.
No.
Okay.
I think FAA minimum's 178 feet.
Okay. Okay. I believe
This would just be
yeah.
8-foot extension to 87 feet, so well below that.
But that's on top of a hill already, right?
Yes.
So you
Yeah.
never know what they'll say.
It's 180 feet from ground level, so wherever it be.
Because I believe that the last tower, the one that they did off of...
Last tower, I think, was
Guidel
below
Road.
120, and it had a light on top of
Right.
it, and it was farther away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see, we'll
Okay.
see what they say.
Yeah, okay. So,
But obviously, that will play a role, if they have additional conditions,
Right.
like a light, that will play a role in the evaluation of the
Okay.
visual impact.
Right.
I think the primary concern of the board would be to evaluate visual impact, and to that end, we'd like to see some photo simulations
Okay.
of the tower from public rights of way, and what, existing and proposed conditions of the antenna. And as a question, is there a technical reason why the co-location needs to go up 8 feet as opposed to hanging on the existing tower?
It can't be below tree line level, so our azimuths are running into the vegetation at a lower azimuth, so.
Do you have a copy of the previous site plan approval?
What was that?
Do you have a copy of the previous site plan
I do,
approval?
I do somewhere in here. But
Okay.
It'll be
Can
part of
you
their
include
final
that with the
submission,
next-
right?
Yeah,
The next submission?
Yes.
Okay.
yeah, because that way we can, so that we're aware of what needs to be, what was previously approved on the site. That should be included in the application as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you're able to review that prior approved plan and take any of that information from the prior approved plan that's still relevant and marry it to the new plan, because that will be, those conditions should remain. If there's changes, then those should be identified also.
Yeah. Okay.
Around that tower?
Yeah. That's what they're saying. So, I mean,
That's what we'll see it in the pictures, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that once we have that, I mean, correspondence from the FAA, but also more significantly, the visual impact simulation,
Okay.
we can initiate secret.
Okay.
At that time, we'll have a complete application and we can initiate secret.
Okay.
Yeah. So, to give just a little bit more work to do to kind of bring into us to kind of get the ball moving.
Sounds good.
All right.
So it was made clear on the record that the item's not considered complete until we get these other items addressed, right?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think that's it for the evening. I don't think there's too much that we really can do moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
All right, take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. All right. Next item on the agenda is MLC Smithtown Properties LLC subdivision.
I always bring the good ones to you guys. The good ones, the best of the best. We got, this is an interesting one. We have 2 properties. One property is located in the town of Wappingers. One property is located in the town of Fishkill.
Yep.
They share a common deed. And what the applicant would like to do is the property to the north, which is in the town of Wappingers, is vacant. And they'd like to get a Board of Health approval on it and eventually sell it for a single-family residential house. And part of doing that, there's an existing garage that, and driveway and well that's associated with the parcel to the south in the town of Fishkill. It's actually located in the town of Wappinger. So what we'd like to do is realign the portion of property in the town of Wappingers to the town of Fishkill so that they could use their existing well, they could use the existing garage and driveway that are on the Fishkill side. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
You're right. So, and just, that's the application we submitted. We have a draft in front of the health department. We've made a couple of health department revisions regarding the well and septic proposed for the new house, and then we also included some additional information with some soil testing for the parcel to the south, which is in the town of Fishkill. So the house is older in the town of Fishkill, so we're going to be doing a replacement septic system, and we've gotten some information on the well. So we have been working with the health department. They have been receptive to what we are showing.
Okay. All right. Okay, so you did get the letter, obviously, today from the engineer. So I guess the bigger discussion, I think, tonight is more the driveway.
No, yeah, we can, nothing, no showstoppers there on the driveway as far as doing a drainage improvement there to redirect runoff and make sure we're not blasting the town road with any kind of potential runoff.
Yeah, that's my biggest concern right there.
Yeah.
What, the driveway?
Yeah.
And
Some kind of
creating,
retention at the bottom.
right, and controlling the runoff as well.
No problem.
Which is, okay.
And potentially reducing the steepness, right? If
Yeah,
it's possible.
yeah, we just did a schematic to show that we get access up in there, but we can get that below 50%. 12%.
Sounds good, yep.
Yep.
All right.
This isn't the one where that was too steep, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, the driveway is a little steep, but obviously it looks like they can cut it down.
Yes.
Kind of make it a little more palatable, I guess, so. And it's not like it's outside the realm of the, the current standards. I mean, you're at just the high end of what would be allowable. So if you could bringing it down would make more sense.
Yeah, and I kind of really looked at it on the way over here, and we can make it work under 12%. And we even looked at some potential Coltech positions that we can maybe retain some of the water before it shoots onto the road.
Okay.
If we do a Coltech or something like that, is that something you want to witness soil tests or just pictures or?
That would be up to the board, and I think it would depend on what you're proposing, but.
But to put infiltrators in?
Yeah, I'm thinking something just to kind of make sure it gets in the ground.
That's acceptable. I have no issue with it. I don't know what everybody else thinks. Basically just, basically putting, chambers in the ground, let the water go into there, and it'll slowly go back and recharge into the ground.
As long as it keeps off the road, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. keep
As
it off the
opposed,
road.
right, as opposed to
Whatever
it,
you want to do it.
as opposed to it going into a basin or,
Perfect.
In the past, has the board required that the town have a representative out to witness testing? I think that was one of the questions.
We haven't, as long as the applicant's engineer, is there to witness the perk test. And
Sounds
they
good.
provide us documentation.
Perfect.
Yeah, so,
No problem.
okay, all right. So with that, I think that takes care of most of your letter, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Mine
Then yours
is
is,
relatively simple. There were some errors in the tax lot numbers in the submission materials.
Okay.
Take another look at the EAF, take another look at the application form and the narrative, make sure that everything's consistent. I know we've got like 3 of them floating around, and I found inconsistencies in them. You'll want to add the BAT note to the plans. I saw the EAF flag BAT. Town superintendent of highways will need to sign off on the site distance requirements. We can decide whether or not we want to pursue a coordinated or uncoordinated review of the unlisted action. We've already gotten a letter from Fishkill telling us that they're deferring to us as far as the application goes. And a thought of mine, I think a condition of approval will be the revision of the deeds such that the communal deed now reflect the smaller portion in Wappinger and the portion in Fishkill, that those are one lot together.
That's fair enough.
yeah.
Can I ask a question? The subdivision map that's going to be filed, will that show only the parcel in Wappingers, or will it show both parcels?
Let's go into the county, I think it'll show.
Show both.
It's going to show both with Board of Health. It's going to
show
It's going to be that,
everything.
yeah.
right, because there's 3 lots. There's the portion in Fishkill and then the 2 lots in Wappinger.
Didn't we say at one point we're going to have a condition on the smaller lot that has to be attached to the Fishkill lot?
So that's what I was just talking about. That will be reflected in the deed for the Fishkill lot, that these 2 tax parcels are under one deed. They are bound together. That they're
Shouldn't there be a condition of the subdivision approval as well?
Yeah, but the condition of the subdivision approval will be the demonstration of that deed.
This is currently just one big lot, correct? That just traverses the 2 towns.
It's one big lot. It's 2
Yeah.
different tax parcels.
Yeah.
Yeah. And soon it will be
Right.
2 lots comprised of 3 tax parcels.
Right.
Yeah. We covered that.
Okay. All right.
Does the board have a preference on coordinated or uncoordinated? Apart from
I mean,
Fishkill, it's relatively simple.
I was going to say,
Uncoordinated?
uncoordinated, because I believe all that's left, Fishkill doesn't care.
No.
And then it's just a matter of,
getting the Board of Health to sign off, and
The Dutchess County Health Department. They're the only
DEC
other.
is involved as far as the bat, but we know what they're gonna say. They're gonna say,
Right,
cut within the window.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
we're gonna have as a condition on the plans.
right.
So, I think it'll save time.
So with that, with this, I believe we do have to have a public hearing. Is that correct? Yeah. All right. So I guess the next step would be a scheduled public hearing, and then we can move forward from there. What would be the next meeting date again? That was September 4th. Okay. I don't know if that works for you. That would be the Wednesday after Labor Day.
That's fine.
Okay.
We'll take it.
All right. So entertain a motion to schedule a public hearing for September the 4th.
So move.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. See you then.
Have a good night.
All right. Next item on the agenda this evening is a conceptual review for Hudson Valley Scrap Kings. Hey, good evening.
Good evening to the board and the consultants. My name is John Fuller. I'm a professional engineer representing the applicant. We're here tonight before you for a conceptual review. They are the new ownership of what was formerly known as the AW Scrap Processors located here at 1989D. They've just taken ownership of this in June. We're in the process of doing some preliminary engineering, including survey work on the property. They wanted to come before you for a conceptual review tonight to discuss some of the changes that we're looking to make to the property. We understand that the property was last before you maybe several years ago, back in 2016, under the prior ownership. And obviously, we're looking to move forward under a clean slate. One of the things they intend to do, and I'll let them introduce themselves here in a moment, is besides cleaning up the property, they're looking to add a 4,000 square foot building, which we've delineated on the drawings, preliminary drawings that we submitted to the board for tonight's discussion. So I'll let them introduce themselves first, and then we'll look to have discussion with you regarding what we're looking to do.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lee Keith. This is my partner, George Sanchez.
How you doing? Hi. Okay. All right. Just out of curiosity, were you given the previous, or what was in the works as a previous site plan approval or amendment?
We have a copy of, I believe it was done by Burns Engineering. There was a plan, and then I have the resolution, yes.
Okay.
So I've read the resolution and the plans.
Is the resolution from 2016?
Yes, April 2016. Initially, upon review, I don't think the applicant takes any exceptions to what was written in the resolution. I'm sure probably part of the discussion is I'm not sure everything was accomplished that was listed on that original plan, but we're here tonight to discuss that.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously that's one, because we need to, that needs to be circulated to the board. I think everybody here except for me is new to the board, so they weren't part of that discussion. So I mean, I know prior to coming back, they're going to need a copy of that, just so they can review it for themselves. Just be aware. You could take care of that. Okay. All right. So with everything going on, I know that the facility had been closed for a period of time, and I guess some things needed to be addressed in order to, I guess, move forward again. So with that, maybe you should kind of discuss, or at least show the board what the proposal is, how the site's working, how it's going to work, going forward, just so we kind of are all what happens there.
Yeah, so this overall plan, I'll just move this back a bit, is a delineation of the entirety of the property. There's actually 3 parcels involved. There's just under an acre parcel, which is right here, which has the predominant entrance into the property off of 9D. There's a residential dwelling there and a couple of accessory buildings which the scrap business has operated out of. There's a 4-acre piece here which is almost entirely wooded. A portion of the back corner of that encompasses some of the scrap operation, predominantly vehicular traffic. And then there's this large 26-acre piece, which is on the other side of what is essentially a utility easement that runs through the center of the property. So what we're looking to do, this is a representation of what's there currently. Again, besides, and we kind of explained this a little bit in the narrative, we intend to clean up the property, clearly the front of the property, and then demo one of the buildings, which is just in a poor state at this time. And the idea would be to add a 4,000 square foot building to the rear, which would be on the other side of the utility, certainly away from the entrance at 9D. The building that was here would be demolished along this property, which is actually a residential property. And most, if you're familiar with that stretch, it's mainly residential properties along 9D at that location. So we would demo that building, put one back here. And the idea here is, other than vehicular traffic that needs to come in off of 9D, which is the historical entrance, we would direct all the scrap business to this rear area here beyond the utility easement and confine most of the scrap operation back here, which would certainly be away from the residential properties up closer to the roadway. Each one of these residential properties on both sides have a wooded area which sort of separates what goes on at the rear of this property. So that's what we're looking at to do initially with the property, aside from cleaning it up, installing better fencing, and things of that nature. So.
I have one question. I guess what's the net increase or decrease of square footage of building? What's the square footage of the building that's being taken down versus the square footage of the building being put up?
So yeah, it's going to be close. Yeah,
it's going to be very close. 500 square feet difference.
These plans are at different scales, but this would be the building that we're eliminating here and adding it here. So the new building is certainly slightly larger. I'm going to say several hundred.
Much more setback away from residential area.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, as I was trying to explain here, as you can see, that these are residential properties on both sides across the street.
And what do you have in the rear?
This is all just wooded land.
Okay.
You know, all this, and there's another road over here, which is I can't see it here, Stony Kill Road. There's residential properties on it.
Large single-family residential lots.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did I hear you say the operation is closed now?
The old one was closed. Right now we're cleaning up, we're doing everything. Customers are still showing up because the old property was taking material, just having to drop it off there. If they come in, they have a little something, we are allowing them just to get rid of it, because instead of going somewhere to pay for it, get rid of it, we'll let them put it in the property and put it in a container immediately and get it out of there.
Can you speak to the proposed berm and parking area?
So I replicated that. That is something that was on the original site plan from 2016, which was the Burns site plan and written in the resolution, which, you know, from evidence was never accomplished. That berm was never built. And so to be consistent with the original approval, we've kind of replicated that aspect of that site plan, which we would do as part of the improvements that we're looking to do.
Well, that is something that you want to accomplish, not just for the purposes of consistency. You'd like to see that parking and that additional screening there.
Yes.
Okay. Is the berm proposed to be vegetated or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm trying to get my arms around this. So there's a 2016 resolution And that was for an application for what? What was there before that?
I have it here if you'd like to read it. I mean, I think it is going to be sent around, but it's an amended site plan and special permit
In 2016?
in 2016.
Okay, yeah.
And it looks like they went to the ZBA for...
Half of what was on the resolution, yeah.
It looks like they went to the ZBA for an interpretation that the proposed parking area and berm would not constitute an increase in the intensity of use. That they would be able to do that under the existing non-conforming use.
Okay. So with all that, there's just something I know that's eventually going to get brought up. So you have a lot of existing flood area and wetlands. I know some of the stuff has been there for years, but what measures will be taken to not go any further than where things are currently?
Yeah, I think just from an overall concept, George has tremendous scrap experience. For me, it's more of a real estate piece. But obviously aesthetically, let's just not mince words, right? It's awful when you drive by. And we've gone to extensive lengths just in this month to try and clean up and just make it more aesthetically pleasing, because we realize obviously we're adjacent to a tremendous amount of residential area. To your specific point in terms of what are we doing, the goal is right now on that site plan, it encompasses 30 acres, right? George has run these things and he understands we don't need 30 acres, right? So what we found is as we're cleaning up, we're finding things literally 20 acres away, and that stuff is all being cleaned. So I think one of the things we would certainly be open to is come by, see. For many of you that have lived in the community that have seen this, over time deteriorate, whatever the opinions are, I think we would certainly welcome you to come out and see what we've done already, the extensive work that we've done already. And we'll continue to do that, and that's our ultimate goal. But I guess with all that said, the goal is to condense the scrap yard to essentially 2 to 3 acres of a span, because we feel that we can operate within those confines. And then there's other things that we would like to do with the remaining of the property, but right now, obviously, that's our goal, to address that cleanup extensively.
Right. No, I get it. I mean, the cleanup is very important, because it's,
Yeah, tremendous.
I drive by there every day. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
There was piles of everything there. So,
Yes.
But with that, like I said, it's one of the things that probably should be addressed on the plan is how do you mark the boundary in a way, to keep the operation from expanding into an area that it really shouldn't be going any further towards. So, I know a lot of it's existing, but, putting something along the perimeter, of the boundary, I mean, there is, boulders.
So,
this.
to address that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have concrete paths, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have Jersey barriers in the back of those paths. They're gonna go a certain height, that's gonna keep anyone from going back, any material from going behind that, and we're gonna section off each one of these paths, label, aluminum, stainless, whatever, but we're gonna have at the wall, that's what I did at my other yard, we have at the wall, those Jersey barriers, like 4 high, and nothing goes over there, everything stays on that side, and keeps anyone from going around there.
Okay. I mean, that would be.
Piles of cracks over there now.
Right.
Everything will be in a concrete pad, and everything will be sectioned off with nice signs up there, and everyone knows where to go. It'll be a nice, low, big circle around, and that's it.
You said you were looking to condense the footprint of this down to about 2 to 3 acres?
Yes.
And what part would that, besides the building,
This area here, yeah.
so the front of that building?
Yes.
Yeah, so it would be this area, because, currently, as it's been suggested, there's scrap all over the 20-some acres.
Sure.
And so we're looking to bring all that down to an area which would operate right here.
Can you show that area on the first one?
Yeah, so that would be, this area right here.
So, and then there's enough barrier between, so if I lived in a house over there, on the main road, how much, I'm not going to see a pile and slabs and walls and stuff?
You won't see a building, our goal is to say there's 3 days.
So currently, there is a utility easement that runs, which has utility lines that runs right through the property here. And in the rear of all these residential properties are pretty wooded. I mean, they're extensively wooded. That's all existing vegetation, which is currently on those properties. That's not this property, but that's all in this area here. And that's true over here as well as here.
And then you got the clearing for the easement, because obviously it's clear.
Yeah.
So then after the easement, is it clear, or is there more wooded barrier before it gets to your operation?
Yeah,
It's currently clear, okay. And so then to the right of it, everything that you're clearing out now, all the way to the end of your property, what's the plan there?
At this point, nothing. I mean, we're looking to consolidate all that and bring it in. As far as this up,
I'd like to come see it, even if it's right of the board.
Yeah, over there on the right is mostly old scrap
I've never been
cars
there,
stuff.
and I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, they're gone. They're gone.
Are they gone?
Yeah, they're
Come
gone.
check it out. We'd love to have you guys there.
Okay.
Forgive me if this is mentioned already. So you realize, you have to have a separate special use permit application for the location of the building. Because it's going to be moved, because you're getting rid of the one in the front, and you're going to be looking to put, that's going to require a separate special use permit application.
So the house itself, I heard you mention earlier that it was part of the operation. Was it an office, or?
They used it as an office, correct.
Okay, so.
Which one? The one right in front with the fence around it you're talking about, or the one on the left? Okay.
What's the future use of that house?
Full disclosure, we want to eliminate the house.
Tear it down, or?
We want to.
So how do we, let's just, I'm just looking, because you said it, let's say you tear it down, what are your thoughts on what you're going to do to make it look still
We're
welcoming?
going through feasibility studies and some planning and working through some of the engineering. We don't want to obviously disclose too much at this point, but the goal is to provide something that we feel will be a complement to the community, the youth in the community. That I would like to kind of leave for now until we have kind of everything finalized to present to the board once again.
Makes sense.
Kind of like the concept for what we're going forward. My only concern is we start kind of disclosing what our thoughts are on our plans.
No, I understand.
We haven't finalized it, so now you're posing questions and we're not totally prepared because we don't have all the pieces.
I mean, obviously that's what tonight's session is more to kind of, to feel it out, to have the discussion and do it, because you still have to come back with a full, full amended plan anyway.
Is to eliminate the eyesore, right? First and foremost. Our goal when we initially came was to make sure that we were a good community partner, right? We realized there's a consensus, at least what we found, is that everybody loves a scrapyard, but just not in their backyard, right? That's kind of the overwhelming consensus. And we understand that, right? And the goal is to kind of take the stigma away from it being what it was, right? People would come and dump mattresses and things like that. And, George has been night and day, literally, the guys picking things out, cleaning things up. And that's why for some of you who've been at that yard and you come now, I think already you would be impressed with the cleanup that we've done in our attempt to be a good community partner.
I think it has to be it has to be organized, clean, and I know the junkyard, but there's a certain way to run it, and right now,
It's not that.
It's getting there.
Something I would mention for your application, because it is a previous existing non-conforming use, you're looking to make changes, including building a new building, but you're also tearing down an existing building. You're also consolidating a lot of what currently exists and is sprawling out. Something that we will be looking at in the application is that the intensity of the use is not growing. What it sounds like is that you're doing a very good job of reducing that. And so my recommendation in your application would be to find ways in a narrative to describe that qualitatively and quantitatively. All the efforts that you're going to clean up sort of the sprawled junk. Particularly when it comes to reducing the distance of the operation from homes and reducing the distance of the operation from wetlands and wetland buffers. That's going to be big in evaluating whether or not you are increasing or decreasing the intensity of the use. That would be my recommendation. It sounds like you're already going in that direction, so just make sure that you're keeping track of what you're doing, measuring it as best you can.
There's nothing back there marking the buffer right now, right?
I don't.
I'm probably going to say no, there's probably nothing there.
Yeah, and if there is, it has been ignored, I imagine, but.
But it's, so I mean, we just want to make sure that that gets addressed. It was just something else I meant to say. Have you had discussions with DEC?
Yes, I had. DEC actually came out on Thursday. I've been dealing with Ian McConnell. He was blown away with how the place looks now. He was very happy with, we addressed some of the issues that they have with the existing owner as far as cleanups. The only thing he did a report, I'm waiting to see the back. There was one spot that he wanted us, he said it was very minor for us to clean up, which we're already on top of that. But he was very impressed with what we've done so far.
Okay, and they also require you to have a permit through their office?
Yes.
To operate the facility?
I've already submitted all the paperwork. They're getting us up in the meantime, so we can get back with them.
Okay. All right.
If you guys want to let us know when you want to come out, so we make sure we're both there. We'd love to look through what's going on out there.
Probably would be worth making a site visit, right?
Yeah.
Just to kind of get
I mean, we
the lay of
can,
the land there.
yeah, I mean, we can do that. I mean, if everybody wants to do that, we could pick a date and go for a site visit. I don't know if it's...
Do you want to do that now, or do you want to wait for them to make an application?
Yeah.
So that you actually know what they're proposing?
So we have a good set of plans, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it whenever. That was just my thought.
Right.
Typically, the site visit gets scheduled not at conceptual, but when we have plans, we know what they want to build and where.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for us, we just wanted to kind of disclose, like, obviously, when you're driving by, you're just seeing what's in the front. You don't know what's deeper.
Yeah.
You know, and our goal, we've attempted to kind of like reverse engineer and literally work from the back, kind of like to the way out. And then obviously fine tune things, but that's why we really kind of wanted you guys to come out
you
and
get an
see.
idea right now what it looks like, and come back again and see the progress we've made,
Yeah.
so you can kind of get an idea. And we can show you what we're planning on doing.
Yeah, it might make more sense to wait until you have a submittal, and then we could schedule a field trip, go out, because then we actually have what you're proposing to do versus, right now, it's just kind of, all right, we're looking at the property, but we're not 100% sure which direction you want to go. So
again, I think
we will hold off after you make the submission, and we'll set a date, to go out and take a look at the property, and also see where, I mean, maybe by that time too, you'll also have everything kind of like, at least laid out, if not, structures being there, at least, things marked out, so we kind of have an idea where everything's going to go. Okay. Anybody else on the board have any questions regarding this at this point?
The only thing that I was thinking, like I mentioned before, was that, just to mention, that probably put something on there, like the boulders or whatever we've been doing to designate the buffer for the wetlands in the back. Usually just grab one of the machines, drop a bunch of big rocks back there, and just so they know where it is.
Yeah, kind of identifies where the boundary limits
just so you
are.
know, and guests know where the wetland buffer is. But we'll look to see that over time. Have you had anyone go out there and flag it recently?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we're mapping that now, so it has been delineated, and we had it flown to photography, so we're going to, on our formal application, all that information will be on there.
Okay. You guys have any other questions for the board? It sounds like you guys are in the right, moving in the right direction. Yeah, that's definitely,
Trying to.
yeah.
Certainly trying to. It is extensive, to say the least.
I mean, people have stopped by and already raved at how it looks so far, so.
Yeah, no, I know, I've seen, you guys cleaned up quite a bit out of the front of the property in the last couple of weeks, actually. It looks like everything is everything that was, kind of stored out there is gone now, which is nice. And, yeah, so, I mean, it's, I look forward to seeing, the full submission and go from there. Okay? Okay, all right, thank you for coming out. Okay. Okay, next item on the agenda is miscellaneous regarding Licari subdivision. I guess there's no one here.
I don't think that the applicant is present. I think Barbara wanted this. There was some discussion as to what needed to be done with the change. And so she put it on the agenda to present it to you. She asked me to make that change to the resolution in case you wanted to move forward with it. Based on our discussion with in the pre-meeting, it sounds like what you would like to see before you would consider voting on the revised resolution would be a revised set of plans showing that change.
Yes.
Showing the removal of the septic, the sewer connection, and the proposed location of the septic.
Yeah.
At which point you could consider voting on the resolution.
Board of Health approval.
And they can, and they can
I think they won't be able
demonstrate.
to get their health department approval until you.
Right, but they can demonstrate that they're going to be able to meet the requirements that the health department is specified with the on-site wastewater management system.
Yeah.
So as long as they can demonstrate that on paper, at least we have an idea that when they go to the health department, that it should be, and it won't get kicked back. So I think that's, if everybody's in agreement with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that will get relayed back to the applicant, and they will move forward with getting that work submitted to us before we amend the resolution. Yeah, okay.
Is that really close to here?
It's just down the road, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually right across the street. Yeah, the old Stefano's property.
Right across the street. Building sits way back off.
Okay. All right. Okay, so with that, let's go to the next item, which is the discussion or miscellaneous regarding site plan and special use permit for CarMax Auto Superstores.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board. My name is Jennifer Gray, attorney with Keenan Bean, here tonight on behalf of CarMax. I'm also here with Karen Majanowski from Bowler Engineering. We are here tonight to request a one-year extension of the approvals that were issued last year, and also have a discussion regarding an engineering item that has come up since then. I'm going to try to be as brief as possible because my voice is not well tonight, so I apologize for my voice. Since the approvals were issued, CarMax has moved forward to acquire the property. They remain absolutely fully committed to the project and have been working to complete the approval conditions. As of even November of last year, they've had construction drawings ready to go, ready to be submitted, but we've been working through some DOH review. So in May of this year, after we received some correspondence from County DOH, we did submit for compliance review. And with the exception of I'll call it the catch-22 issue, which the chairman referred to in the work session with DOH, we've met all the other conditions in the resolution. There are two other minor comments from Mr. Padgey's memo that we received in June regarding a stormwater maintenance agreement, which we can submit, and coordination with Dutchess County with respect to the easement that's shown on the plat. Those are two items we can very easily address and will. We do need more time to address this catch-22 DOH issue, and I'll describe what that is. And Karen, you can hook me off the stage if I start getting out of my attorney lane and into my engineer lane. So we're proposing septic on the site. We always have been, continue to propose septic. For the septic, we need to install a fill pad at the rear of the property. What DOH is saying to us is that they have issued us approval to go ahead and install that fill pad. Then we're going to have to survey it, test it, and get it inspected before DOH will move forward and complete their full design review. So the catch-22 is that we need to get onto the site to do this work in order to get full DOH approval. And based on communications between Bowler Engineering and DOH, we have no reason to believe that DOH is not going to issue us that full approval at the end of the day for the design. But the trick is we need to get on site. We need permits to get on site, do this work to install the fill pad in order for us to get to that sort of second stage of DOH approval in order to get the site plan signed and ultimately have a building permit issued. So we're kind of stuck in a little bit of a chicken and egg situation. What we'd like to do is seek approval from the board to the extent that's necessary to get demo permits and grading permits issued to us from the town so that we can get on site and do that work in order to get to that next stage of DOH approval. Notwithstanding the fact that we don't have all outside agency approvals yet, which is a condition of the resolution. So we are requesting an extension, a one-year extension of the approvals in order to allow us to work through that. I heard the comment earlier about the 90 days. If we can be done in 90 days, that would be amazing. We would love that. My client would be very happy. The problem is DOH may require the fill pad to sit for a freeze-thaw period before they can issue their check that box and move on with their full design review. So it's likely we will need more than the 90 days. So with that, we're here tonight to request the extension. No one's more motivated than CarMax to get onto that site and get shovels in the ground and get this moving. But we may need a little cooperation from the town as far as getting grading and demo permits issued. And if we need to come back next month to seek an amendment to an administrative amendment to the conditions of the resolution, we're happy to do that. We've had that discussion with your staff and consultants last month, and we can proceed in that fashion. But we're here tonight to just kind of open that discussion with you.
Okay. So with just a question regarding the demolition. Does the demolition need to be done in order to build the fill pad?
I'll let Karen address that.
Good evening. Nice to see everyone.
Hi.
So the way the fill pad currently is designed, we're just outside of the building with that work. So the hope would be that we would come in the most rear entrance off of Smithtown, establish a construction entrance to do that and place the fill pad. That should be just behind the building, but we would want to have that discussion with the contractor to make sure that's all realistic with the building in place.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, the question comes in with the demolition, because obviously it would just be demolition. They take the buildings out, remove the foundations, and then I guess you'd be filling in the foundation, where some type of stabilization on that part of the property would be made?
Yeah, we can get that level of detail worked out too. But yeah, the intent would just be demolition and placement of the fill pad to stabilize for septic down the road.
All right.
There's currently a septic there, right?
Yeah.
Yes, there's no municipal sewer there now.
Location of it is basically what I'm asking.
Oh, it's just out back of the building as well, I believe.
So you'd be taking that up and doing a fill pad?
That's correct. Whatever is there from a septic standpoint is completely being removed.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess the question is does everybody feel comfortable with authorizing them to go ahead and, install, number one is installing a fill pad in order for them to move forward ahead with DOH approval.
I don't have a problem with, I mean, I like to see the work actually happen, like things to get going.
Right.
So I don't have a problem with that. I just would prefer not to have a year to do it. I mean, I'd like to have maybe a shorter time period where we see some, come back and get some progress updates and see where we're at. Kind of like, so we don't have to, 6, 7, 8 months down the road, we're kind of wondering, where we're at.
Where things are going.
Yeah. Yeah, 6 months is fine. I mean, 290 days, but a year, I think we could, I'm okay with them coming back for it,
I'm not, I mean, the year, I'm not too worried about that. Then it becomes the only thing is just whether or not there's a need for a restoration bond, which is something that's been done in the past. So you take down a building, you now opened up an area of the property which is probably stabilized at this point, and then it just needs to get restabilized. There just needs to be some assurance. Usually we require some type of a cash deposit or bond that gets ultimately will get approved by the town board, but the engineer usually would produce some type of an estimate, or your office would produce it, and our engineer would verify that it's of an adequate quantity to move forward. I think that might be something that we may need to look at.
And we're happy to discuss that. If we were able to work around the building, would that eliminate the need for that? Because we'd really be just placing fill.
Yeah, I mean, how big is the pad? What are we talking square footage?
So the pad itself, all the way down to toe, is going to be about 126 feet by about 242 feet. So you've got about 25 foot of slope, horizontal distance of slope up, and then you have 25 feet of flat, and then you can start your actual septic area that would have the trenches plus the 100% expansion. Excuse me.
Would that require any kind of protection or anything if you're going to leave the building standing? You have all that impervious there.
I mean, the area is going to have erosion control measures, but are you talking from like accessibility standpoint from the public?
I'm talking about protecting the new fill pad.
Oh, yeah, so it would have silt fence around it, but otherwise it's just going to establish as a fill pad with the soil.
How close to the building would the fill pad be?
I can get that answer. Okay. Yeah, it's all behind the back of the building and between Osborne Hill, but I can get that answer.
We may want to ask for, while the construction is going on, some type of security fence to protect and keep out people from wandering in.
Put construction fencing around it.
I think that any permit that would be issued would be predicated on submission of a plan that outlines all of the work and safety measures, erosion controls, construction sequencing, and any other specific requirements that the board comes up with, and anything that's specific to a demo permit or grading permit, or both.
Yeah. I mean, if they were to take the building down, obviously it could be done under a demolition permit. It's just a matter of, how to secure it afterwards. That's what I was trying to get at here. It's just...
Agreed, and I think
if it's, and I mean, a construction fence could be installed. I mean, that's fine, to protect any of the, whatever's left, where the ground is open. Obviously, it sounds like they've already got everything planned out for the fill pad, but, I'm assuming that the health department doesn't want you to plant anything on top of that until after they get the approval.
Yes, and the whole system is fully designed. All of the components, the size of the trenches, the laterals, everything is there. They just won't formally approve it until that soil's established to make sure the perk rate doesn't change. But the fill is going to be placed based on the perk rate we designed for.
And so you need to go through a full freeze-thaw cycle with it in order for them to move forward with those approvals.
That's the way the regulations are written. It's possible that they can waive that, and we would ask for that to help speed it along. So worst case, though, we're waiting that freeze-thaw, which is why we want the year extension.
So this is the earliest that you could get that approval, assuming that they don't waive it, would be this spring.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Realistic.
as far as timeline.
I got you. I'm
consideration
following you now. Yeah. Well, that makes
That
sense. If
makes
there's-
sense. I mean, 8 months.
That's
they can come back in
understandable.
8 months.
Yeah.
and We can
Yeah.
find out where they're at, and we can move forward.
And it does seem like I could see that they're trying to get this going. So, I mean,
We're happy to give updates along the way.
Now, the ownership of the property is transacted to CarMax at this point?
Correct.
Okay. So, which is now they're lessening their investment in the property by taking the building down. So if they were not to move forward, there's nothing on the property, it's just an empty lot. Whereas right now, they have some usable retail space, that could be used going forward. So, just
I think that the board
throwing it
would
out
want to
there.
see,
Just throw, huh?
I think the board would want to see if they're proposing to not take the building down, where that fill pad is located to.
Yeah. I mean, if it's really, to be honest, at this point, does it really make sense to even have the building there anymore? It's really-
Exactly, that's what I'm getting at.
That's what I'm getting. So if it could come down, if it comes down, it comes down. It's on them at this point.
So let's get a bond established
Right.
and just take it down.
Restoration.
I
Start cleaning up that property.
I agree with you. If they're going to make the moves and start doing all that, you might as well just give them what they need and get it done.
Okay.
And we can discuss that with them. Our focus will be this fill pad too.
The fill pad is, I know, first and foremost, but then,
Whatever can happen faster. Whatever can
yeah, but
happen.
if you need to take down or at least a portion of the building, you can do so in order to make it work.
I think the concern would be that if there was, if the construction of the fill pad without the demolition of the building would render that building useless for whatever reason or damage the building, then it might as well be taken down. So even if it wasn't taken down and the fill pad installation would potentially damage the property, damage that building or render it, not usable, I think a restoration bond or a bond to remove the building, that would be something that the board would be looking for. So I don't know if not removing the building would get you out of the need for a bond.
Yeah, yeah. And the bond is something that we have discussed with our client. They're happy to do that if it's necessary. So that's not going to be a stumbling block.
Okay. All right. So we could, at this point, it's basically just an authorization by the board. I'm assuming they don't have to pass another resolution for this, do we?
Yeah, it would just be an extension, I believe.
Well, for the extension is the one thing, but for them to move forward, because I'm assuming they have to, before they can start work, in the resolution, it says they have to meet all the conditions. I believe that's why they're here today.
Yeah, we want to make sure that
Because
it's,
this is like because this is the normal process. You have to,
Has caught them up, yeah.
yeah, so
so,
whatever you need to do, whether it's modifying the resolution or
right,
making
so
a motion, whatever the
so my,
procedure is.
to have the board just approve them to be able to take out a grading permit in order to install the pad, let the building department issue a grading permit. And then again, they'll have to demonstrate how they're going to, any stormwater practices that need to be taken to keep anything from leaving that area. And then additionally, if everybody's in agreement with the demolition or a partial demolition, allowing them to go forward, but that would need to be done under a demolition permit. But prior to that, they would need to put up a restoration bond, to somehow restore the ground where the building sits. So that again, it's, you have something there, there's, grass or whatever to stabilize the property. So it's not just a big hole in the ground.
Demolition.
Yeah.
The question being, can you do that just with or without a resolution?
But without it's basically the resolution's holding them up from doing any work on the property.
Yeah.
That's normally the way it works.
So if we amend the resolution,
Well, I'm not saying to amend the resolution, but authorizing them to be allowed to do this prior to getting final signature. Does that sound?
Can't you just do a separate resolution, sort of like an administrative resolution, that's going to allow them to do the things that they're looking to do and get the permits they need? And you'll have certain conditions that are going to be required as part of that, such as the restoration bond and perhaps maybe what our vision of restoration will be under the circumstances. Maybe it makes sense, for efficiency purposes, is to authorize their people to discuss with the consultants here to come up with the parameters for that. Put this over till next month or whatever the case may be, if that's going to be sufficient time. Also have them provide us with an estimate for what the bond is going to be for restoration. That can be approved by our engineer. Maybe 30 days might be ambitious. So maybe you want to put that out 60 days. And then for tonight, you can vote on granting them their extension for whatever period of time you think appropriate.
That's what he said.
Yeah. Okay. So first motion would be authorize the professional staff to work with the applicant to come up with a plan moving forward, a separate resolution for demolition and grading for the fill pad. So the motion to...
So I'll make that motion as stated.
Do we have a second?
This is for what? Which one is this for now?
As Attorney had just mentioned, to possibly, the best way to handle this is to draft another resolution authorizing it, giving them the approval to go ahead and do an administrative resolution to go ahead and do this work. But in the interim, between this meeting and the next meeting, to have them work with the applicant to come to terms so that we, based upon what we've discussed this evening.
Okay. Yeah, the restoration bond, the permit for demo, all of it,
Yeah. Okay. So you made the motion?
Yeah.
Seconded by?
Rich, second.
Rich, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. So that will take care of that. The next item would be is the one-year extension, which would run from August the 7th through August 6th, 2025. Entertain a motion to approve the extension.
Yeah, I'll make that motion to approve the extension for 1 year.
Okay. Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay. And motion carries. All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks.
If I could just, I've been reaching out with CarMax, and we have worked on the property maintenance, as was mentioned in the pre-meeting, but since you have a direct communication, if you could just ensure that not only the front is taken care of, but the rear as well.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to mention that. I heard that comment during the work session, yeah.
And we'd
Make
like
sure they're
that
aware.
to just be, a bi-weekly event.
Okay.
Okay,
Great.
thank you.
So much.
Okay. All right. So with all that, we do have one more discussion here. So I'm leaving it up to the board. I forwarded the board from an email from the attorney for Chelsea Farm subdivision. And they are looking, they said they have a buyer that could be within contract within 30 days. They're looking to try to keep the site plan alive, or the subdivision alive, to transfer it to the new owner. I know last time we said that we weren't going to go ahead and extend it. And just want to have some discussion what everybody's feeling is with this.
Did they provide any proof that they have a binder on this or anything like
They
that?
didn't bring anything to us, but I get the attorneys here this evening. If you like, why don't you come on up to the podium and give us an update of what you got?
Last Thursday, George Lithgow, J&G Law, for the owner of Chelsea Farm. So last Thursday, David Silver received from CR Properties a proposed contract. It was something that he had reviewed. It's now out to the proposed buyer for signature. Frankly, I looked at it on Friday and sent you an email to let you know what was going on. I have not heard today what has happened, but my assumption is it should be signed this week. Coincidentally, that afternoon when I spoke to David, he said he was aware. He's not sure what it is, but he's aware there's a meeting sometime this week with a different prospective buyer that's been forwarded through CR Properties again, which is proposing some form of, I think it's ecotourism. He knows nothing else about it. I did not have a chance. I've been doing litigation for the last 2 days. I didn't have a chance to go to Tom Cervone today to ask what this is, but I understand there is a meeting with the front office, the supervisor later this week sometime. I'm not sure whether the subdivision is relevant to that. We don't have that information. But there are, I think when I left you last time, I said if we could have a short extension, like month to month or 60 days, there were some nibbles, and 2 of these nibbles have produced
So
what I
is
think are actions.
is the current person that submitted a contract, are they actually going to build out the subdivision
Yes.
as it is,
Yes.
or?
That was the first one, the one that I forwarded
Right.
you.
I mean, obviously, the other one you were mentioning, the agritourism, that's going to be something that we probably have to go through, through a full, plan review anyway. So that's a totally separate thing. They would be starting from scratch at that point.
I'm not sure it's totally separate, but I just don't know. So it could be, selling the property down the hill the way, according to the subdivision, developing the property on top of the hill with the views. We don't know. You'll know more than we know by the end of the week.
I just got a question based off what you said, because I don't know if I missed something. You mentioned that there was conversations of a month-to-month extension. Did we?
No.
Okay.
They'd be asking for.
Okay, but
last time we didn't do anything.
So is it currently expired?
I believe, afraid it expired, or it's about to expire.
The subdivision expired on the 28th of July.
Okay.
We had submitted a letter requesting an extension before that until the end of September.
What kind of extension even be granted at this point?
Well, it's expired.
It's expired?
You have the authority if an extension request is made. There's abundant case law, and I can provide it to your attorney. You can consider that request, even though the technical extension date the date of the last extension has expired.
Is there an expiration on that? A certain amount of time you have to make that determination?
No.
Like a grace period?
Once the request is made.
We
already gave them an extra.
No, I understand.
How many extensions were granted to date?
There was
quite a few. I think there was year to year until last year, and then it was 2, maybe 3.
It's like 12 or 13 years ago.
It's been it was a long time. 2015. It was when I first.
2015 it was.
So it was 2015 or 2016 is when I first got on the board.
Almost 10 years.
What was it?
We've given them 9 extensions.
9 extensions. Yeah.
I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, at this point, since it's expired, and we have the ability to grant one if we needed to, there's no point to do it tonight. I'd like to see some solid proof that there's a deal in place, because it sounds like you said that a deal was signed and sent to the other person for a signature?
It's been approved by the seller, by Chelsea Farms.
So did the seller sign it?
I don't know. It could be signed for all I know.
I think I would like to have more solid information of signatures, even a signed letter of intent with details of what's being presented of some sort before I would consider making an exception to do another grant.
I agree.
So we're at the 5th. The next meeting is the 4th. So if they were to come back with a solid contract to sale statement from the buyer, that their plan is to build it out as is, without modifying it. Would we be willing to provide an extension at that point, retroactively to July 28th? And then give them a period, giving them a period of time, but the new owner would be the bull would be in their court, to do everything that they need to do, in terms of filing and, filing with the county. They would have to provide a bond to the, to the town for the road, that's going to have to be built. There's a lot of pieces that have to get taken care of.
Right.
Plus, if there's another meeting with a prospective buyer, who knows what happens with that?
Sure.
Yeah, but it depends on what the, and again, if it's for the actual subdivision, then that's fine. If it's for something totally different, like I said, he mentioned agritourism or some type of, other thing, then basically it's a moot issue at that point.
Exactly.
Because they're going to come back and start at zero. We were working on a 9-year-old subdivision that was, 9-10-year-old subdivision at this point. So, I mean, at that point, all the work that was put into it just kind of goes away anyway.
Yeah, I'm not for another extension.
Agreed.
Do I give them 30 days? Here's the deal. Do we want to give them 30 days to come back with something, and prior to the 30 days, they submit something to us to get on the agenda to say, hey, this is what's going on. They have a solid deal.
Well, we don't need to do an extension for that. We don't have to give them an extension for that.
We don't have to give them an extension today at all.
Yeah.
I'm just opening it up for discussion. What's everybody's feeling without...
So you can, as long as the application for the extension was made before the expiration, he's okay. If you deny it, then it's over. But if you punt, you can reconsider it at the next meeting.
Right.
Or when you come.
Well, he made the application for extension prior, we took no action on it.
Correct.
So, I mean, it's out there.
Well, I asked you that. I said, why didn't we vote for that? Weren't we supposed
Technically, it was technically, everybody was kind of done with it because there was nothing, there was going to be no movement. So the current owner,
So we really didn't-
the current owner wasn't moving to do it. He was looking to sell the property. So now he's got somebody to buy the property. So if he has a buyer for the property, why not? Why not move? If they're going to build it out as it was approved, then okay.
Yeah, but is this 10-year-old approval going to meet with everything that's come, that's new and?
Assuming everything, yes, assuming everything would.
It would be
And
subject
code
to-
changes that are coming?
As it was approved 9 years
Yeah.
ago. If you wanted to comply with the current
That's what I
codes
want,
or the codes that will come out of.
Especially since it's changing hands.
Let's put it this way, with what, all the items that are being proposed and the code changes, this isn't really going to affect anything. They're taking a large piece of property and they're just dividing it up into big parcels.
I know.
Because there's a lot of unusable land on it, so. That's my opinion of it. I don't know. It's up to you guys.
There was no talk ever of this going down to like a conservation subdivision or anything like that? Or what was that? When they condense it down?
Well, that's not the way it's
Doesn't
approved
matter,
right now.
yeah, it doesn't matter, it's not approved that way. And again, that would be, this is a standard conventional subdivision. There's nothing, not using any of the alternate planned unit development or, conservation subdivision as it's called today, which would end up being, I guess, cluster subdivision tomorrow. None of those things are coming into play. It's, this is just something that's standard,
But there is a very large conservation easement.
Correct.
Which took some time to work through Fish and Wildlife Service, but it was approved.
Yeah.
And that
So once this is done, this is done. There's no other building on the property. This is large, this is going to leave large, vast, open areas on the property.
With large lot, single home buildings. And just to go back to what you said, sir, I apologize. I just wanted to understand what you said. So right now, we don't have to take any action, and because he put that application in before it expired, if we take no action, we have the ability to give an extension in the future.
Yes.
But in the last meeting, if we would have voted no for the extension, that would have taken that away. Is that the way I understand it? Okay.
That's correct.
No, we did vote no.
We did not vote no. We didn't vote.
If you voted to deny the extension and the time period's expired,
Yeah.
it's over.
That's why I asked why we didn't vote that.
We did not, I don't remember doing
We did not vote that meeting.
I don't remember voting on
On a
it.
denial?
I would say you expressed a lack of enthusiasm, but
We did, yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember voting on it at all. That's why I bring it up.
It's not in the minutes.
Otherwise, I would have never brought it up. I would have just, said that was the end of it.
So,
That was my recollection of it, but. I'm just saying, if we, you want to wait 30 days, let them see what they come back with. I mean, for all I know, it could come back and they have something totally different anyway.
Yeah, why not? I mean,
Not going to hurt anything. I don't have the minutes in front of me, but that was what, 2 meetings? That was
positive we didn't vote on it.
at the last meeting, or was it 2 meetings ago we voted on
Can we
that?
check the video of that?
What was it?
Can we check the video?
Do you remember?
I would want to watch the video. My recollection.
We discussed it.
Expressed that they were not interested in approving it.
Yes. It never went.
Not the same thing as voting.
Gotcha. Never went for a formal vote.
But I can go watch the video.
No, you're right. I know for a fact. I remember. I said it right after it, so.
All right. So we have to, that's the first thing that needs to get verified. So we have to see where we stand with that.
Okay.
If it's the case that we took no action, what is everybody's feeling then? So that we can let them know to move forward, or just, it's,
I think we
it's a
take
done deal.
I'm not good with any more extensions.
I agree with Marco.
Okay. Is it, okay. And again, you'll be dealing with a different person at that point. My thing is, it's just, it gives them 30 days to come back with something to say, whoever's going to buy this, you got to make a commitment here.
Yeah, but we still don't need to give them the.
You don't need to give them anything.
We don't need to
I'm
give them
just saying.
anything. They can go.
Then it puts them back to square one again.
Right now, it leaves us open to be able to come back with a grace period.
You're going to have to vote one way or the other when you come back.
Yeah.
Because right now, his site plan, his subdivision's expired.
Right.
So right now, he can't do anything.
But that's if we didn't vote on it.
That's if you didn't vote.
Right, that's what I'm
So
getting.
assuming you didn't vote, right now, he can't do anything until he gets a vote, one way or the other, up or down. If it's obviously and then if it's voted down, then that's the end of it. If you could give him the other extension for whatever period of time you want to do that, you can do that the next, but there's no action that he can take or the applicant can take until you guys make a vote, if you haven't already.
But he can come to us with a better, a contract or a better plan in 30 days, and then we can take action with a new vote for an extension.
Assuming you haven't voted yet.
Yeah, assuming everybody's in favor of doing that.
But it's not really a new plan,
It's the same plan.
demonstrating that there's a contract that's been signed.
Exactly.
That there's a plan for going forward.
A deal.
Which is what I've heard is the board's continuing concern. And the other thing I did want to mention is, regardless of what you decide, Mr. Silver is committed to putting in the restoration landscaping because he knows it's important
Right,
to,
it's still holding the bond.
wants to make amends.
Yeah. Then he would still have to do that anyway. Either way, that would, right, if it didn't go anywhere, then they would have to restore the property. Or get, before the town would release
Even if
the
it
bond.
does go somewhere, even if the new buyer is going to move forward, he's willing to do that. If the board decides it's not necessary to do it, as long as things go forward, he'll still commit that value to the town. He's written it off.
All right. So the question, I guess, right now is, do we want to let them work on this for 30 days? If we didn't actually vote on it. That's the first question here.
I guess we would just put it on the agenda for 30 days as a vote for an extension or not, right? Wouldn't that what it would be?
First we got to figure out could be a moot issue if we actually voted to not do it. If there was an actual vote taken.
Oh, you mean last that meeting?
Yeah, if we actually took a vote at that meeting, then it's done. It's done. There's no action we could take at that point. I'm saying is let them come back with the commitments. Show us show us that there is something there. There is a new buyer. The new buyer is willing to do something within a period of time, not to exceed however long we want that to be. And he's going to move forward to file that plan. Because if he's going to sit, if that buyer is going to go and sit on it and say, well, I want to sit on it for another 2 years, and I agree. It's a moot issue. It shouldn't even be, restore the property and let them come back and they can go through the process.
Let's just let them do what they do, just leave it alone. Not do anything tonight.
Yeah, but I'm saying, nobody's asking to make any decision other than, should we let them move forward?
I feel we've already been misled by them multiple times, and we already set a deadline, and we've gone past that.
That comes into play, well.
That'll come into play if we vote no to
That
the
would be,
extension.
so with the moratorium, because that was approved far in advance of the moratorium, how would that play out?
Well, I think if there's a change in
Doesn't change him.
Huh?
The moratorium doesn't affect him.
Right, it doesn't affect him at all.
No.
That's, okay, that's what I thought.
Unless
there's a change of
allow it to
ownership, right?
expire, and
Well,
then the new buyer
Right,
comes back.
then the new buyer
starts
comes
from
in, right.
Starts from scratch.
scratch. And, I mean, maybe the first step of that is, here are the most recent plans, we've already done this work. Is this okay, can we move forward with it, or do you want to make changes? But all of that would have to wait until the moratorium was concluded. And would be subject to any changes to the subdivision and zoning codes that are passed as part of that moratorium.
I mean, I would hope that this gets put on the agenda next month,
Yeah, it would be put on the agenda.
that we get material in advance.
Well, I think the problem is, I think that everybody's having, because again, I think that probably nobody on the board has the actual subdivision plan.
Yeah.
That's probably, I don't know, I know I probably have it somewhere, because I was,
I guess,
Yeah.
not
It's,
asking whether they get the subdivision plan, but
Yeah.
but then you could need some
Right.
affirmative statement and documentation that there's a sale
yes.
and that there's a plan for moving forward on the part of the owner, of the new owner.
One thing that will make it somewhat faster is all of the paperwork for easements and the conservation easement was reviewed by the town attorney and would be redated, re-signed with the new owner, assuming the current town attorney is...
Right, but it's not like you're reinventing the wheel. It's something that could be done it could be, the easements could be recreated in a short period of time.
They're the
new
same,
owner,
they're just...
basically just changing the owner's name on it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and the dates.
And the date, yes.
I think that Mr. Silver did sign them in 2022, so he was tried. He had a lot of paper to sign.
Yeah,
So we will-
the easements were never filed though, right? At the
No,
end
no,
of the day.
because
Okay.
they were contingent upon getting the bond in place.
I'm just, whether or not we let them move, if we do something and then you discuss it and review it in between over the next 30 days, based upon what's on paper, what we currently have, because I guess I think everybody, my feeling is I think everybody needs to kind of look at this, all the board members need to look at this plan too, as opposed to, other things. It's not, it's really not a controversial plan, it's just, there's some lots that are on there, it's, and as of, from what I remember, it's all as of right, there was no variances.
No variances.
There was nothing, right. It's just we gave them the approval. The problem was it came in as, things got crazy when the trees came down and nothing happened after it. That was pretty much where it all went. And, if they were building houses there, nobody would have even said anything at this point, but it's sitting there. Even if they plant trees today, it's still going to look similar to that for, probably another, 10 years before anything really takes off. Yeah.
More.
Yeah. So, you guys want to sit on it for 30 days and make a decision, an
So
educated
Cindy come back
decision?
with a deal. Are we
Right,
still
they'll-
bound to the extension?
You're not bound to the extension.
No.
We could still vote no for the extension.
No.
I just think
So the
everybody,
30 days doesn't hurt us at all?
doesn't hurt anybody. I think what it is, and again, this is all contingent upon whether or not a vote was taken, which, my thing is, I don't believe it was taken.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah, so my thing is that they have to do their due diligence, which would be is to provide, that they have a buyer, they have a contract to sale, that they, hopefully get some kind of commitment from the, from the buyer that he's going to start work in a reasonable amount of time, to get all the things done and get it filed. I mean, because that's really the big thing is, getting the subdivision filed. And at that point, then it's pretty much done. They wouldn't have to come back for extensions. So, I mean, that's where everything stands. In the interim, we can get a copy of that plan, get everybody to, distribute it to everybody so everybody can see it, all the current board members, so that everybody's aware of what's supposed to, what was approved, whatever it was, however long ago it is now. And we can go from there.
Would you like paper copies or PDF? PDF I could send.
If you have PDF, that's easier for distribution, I'm assuming, unless any of the board members actually would prefer to have a paper copy.
You could ask the one paper copy be sent to the
You could do, you could
office.
send one copy, case.
Okay.
But if you could send the PDF, that would be very
What I have is the essence, not the detail sheets, but the subdivision, the conservation easement. Like some detail, but not 200 acres.
Subdivision layout. And,
Yeah. You can send that tomorrow.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be, I forgot how big, if it's a huge set or not, but
I think it's not
if
that
it's,
many
at
sheets,
least enough pages to show existing conditions, and what's being proposed, or what was actually approved, let's put it that way.
I'll send the resolution too, so you have the
that's
PDF.
fine.
And we will try to get the buyer's time schedule. I do know that he's got in the contract 30 days for confirming the land use approvals and transfer by December.
Okay.
So that generally indicates once he's got financing in place, it'll happen quickly. He does need financing.
Okay.
Full disclosure.
All right, so I think we got both sides of the fence here. We have, everybody's got a little homework to do. And then we'll put it on the agenda for next month for discussion.
Okay, appreciate it.
Okay, all right, no problem. All right. So.
I think she has.
Sure, if you want to come back. Have some questions?
I really appreciate it, thank you. I just want to ask to perhaps, while I respect the process and I know that there's procedures and ways that things normally happen, I'm just wondering if there's a way to adapt this process, because it seems like this piece of paper, this resolution, and a whole month is standing in between me, like, being able to operate my business fully. I bought this property in April, and I'm a single business owner and a property owner now, and my financial plans were all around like operating my business in a certain way in order to like pay my mortgage. So I don't have any investors, no financial backing, like it's me. So I'm wondering if this piece of paper that needs to be signed and then this vote that needs to happen in a month, that's going to cost me thousands more dollars, if there's any possible way to reconsider the way you do things. I don't know if that's even a thing, but I'm asking if it can be a thing.
Did we authorize a resolution?
No, we just did that tonight.
We did, yeah.
We just authorized that.
Yeah, just a condition.
Yeah, so I mean, really, the next meeting is the end of the line. I mean, it's pretty much done at that point. And
Right,
you're
I
looking
thought
to-
tonight was
right.
the end of the line, like, I didn't know the process, so I was
Right.
thinking tonight, when I have done everything that everyone has asked me to do, I just spoke to Brian Stacosa in the hallway, and he's adapting the PDF, like, right now. He was like, email it to me, I'll add the text that you need, even though it's on his letter already, and it now is gonna be on in this place also. He's gonna adapt that right now. I've done everything else.
Yeah, I understand. Problem is that, because of the summer months, the 2 summer months of July and August, we only have one meeting a month. That's what puts you out to September. To bypass it to, I don't think we can vote on anything without, we have to have the actual resolution of approval, and I'm assuming at this point, in order to do something, to give you the okay to operate, or even the okay to move forward with it. I believe there's a building permit that's going to be required too, or?
Yes, so my plan for August was to get that paperwork all ready. It's already, like, mostly all ready to go, bring it to Judith when it's complete, and have that work done, so that then I can,
Yeah.
I can still operate in it without because the building permit is really just for a sliding glass door. That's really all that needs to be done. God bless you. And so I can still use it even without that. I just have to get that in order to replace the door. So this is like the thing that I'm waiting for in order to use it. I'm trying to do everything, follow the rules. Just.
Is there any kind of hardship case we can invoke here, or something to get her up and running? Sounds like she's in a tough spot.
Yeah, I get it, but
Anything you guys know of that we can do?
Nothing that I know of. I mean, this would be a better question for Barbara if Judith or Kyle can think of anything.
Well, if you're asking me.
We are.
Yeah, we are.
You really don't need a written resolution to vote on it in front of you, so there's no legal requirement that there is a written resolution. You are taking everything on record here. I mean, whatever conditions and pertain to the approval is now on the record, can be said orally, and then you can take a vote, and then memorialize it in writing later on if that's how you so choose to proceed.
And the only difference that hung us up was that small verbiage on that needs to go on the plans that you had talked about.
That's the only condition that would be included, other than the standard conditions. All of the standard conditions, which.
But that was from last meeting, right?
Well, they're in all of our resolutions.
So let's do it.
Let's just do it. Yeah.
So she can get going.
So, all right. And then all the standard, I mean, Judy, you guys can figure out
Get everything in.
the standard conditions, they have to pay, they must have, all their taxes must be paid and whatever, there's no open violations or whatnot.
Everything must be in tomorrow. You're not using it right now?
I'm not using it right now.
All right, so get everything in tomorrow.
Okay.
So we would just need a motion to approve the resolution.
Correct.
I'll move it.
I'll second that.
Okay, so motion's made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries.
And at the same
time, we will memorialize this in the actual written resolution that will be, I'm assuming do we have to vote on that resolution as well?
Nope, we already did. It'll be a resolution that'll conform to the vote this evening, non-proton to tonight.
So if the resolution is produced prior to the next meeting, that authorizes me to sign it as well?
Correct.
Okay.
I'll get it to you as quickly as possible.
Samantha, without everything in place, do not use it until we give you that, okay?
Okay. So that will get you moving in the right direction. The ball's in your court, I guess, at this point, to get those updated things and get those circulated to staff, and we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Just want to level set that this is an extreme exception, that this is not set precedent for us to start doing it this way going forward, so.
And it's of a minimal nature, too.
Yes.
It's not a...
Good luck.
It's on a what nature? I'm sorry.
Nothing you need to worry about. You're
Minimal
good.
nature. So it's not a, we're not, minimal to us in the world.
It is. No.
Yeah, I probably should have used something a little different.
Time.
But, because it's not a full site plan for a large building.
I do understand that. I just want to say for future small business owners, for you to consider, if it's not a legal issue, I feel like almost silly that I had to come up and ask a second time.
Yeah.
So I hope that you would think about that for, I know the big subdivisions and the big deals.
Okay.
We've never done that before.
Just trying to make sure it's just, the way everybody, I guess, Jim was trying to say, just going forward, that we're not doing it for everybody, because it's, this is an extreme circumstance, so.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right. Okay, so with that, we got to go to there's one last item we have to discuss tonight, which is the changes to local law, the proposed local law numbers 2 and 3. And Malcolm had drafted a memo, which everybody should have. So I believe everybody's reviewed the memo at this point?
Yep.
All right. All right, so does anybody have any questions or concerns, I guess, with the memo?
Well, I have a few comments. I know.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I assume this will be turned into something from the chair, from the board, to go to the town board.
We could do it that way, yeah, that'd probably be the best way to do it. Yeah, it's a memo from the board, and I could sign, basically, on behalf of the board, to be submitted to the town board.
Yeah, I think before getting to the specifics, I think it's important to articulate the importance of these changes in light of the moratorium and in light of the not necessarily the moratorium, but in light of making the regulations up to date, more responsive to the goals that have been articulated by the town board and the planning board as well. So something, just a generally supportive statement on these regulations. I had some minor stuff. It's pretty...
Can I just clarify something? I mean, this is the stuff from the workshop that we all did, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So I thought we had all discussed everything and worked out all the minor issues, and this is our statement that's going to the town.
Right.
So why are we revisiting minor issues again?
Well, I wasn't saying these issues are minor. I said I have a few comments that are more specific.
Okay. We're not bringing up new stuff to rediscuss right here? In the interest of time, personal time, I thought that was the
workshop
meeting
was
we
for
did
that.
was for that.
Did we address everything that was in the workshop? Probably not in this memo, but I'm not saying, and again, I listen, I get it. I mean, a lot of this stuff makes sense. Some of it is basically a copy from something that was paid for previously, okay? All right. Other than that, I mean, listen, I have my opinion of it. I've worked with other zoning codes before, I've dealt with it, as much as I have here, being on the planning board, where I work in the city of Beacon, also where I used to work in the town of Poughkeepsie, everybody's got their own little things, What's being proposed to me, I mean, it's a little unusual, the process that's being done, in order to create it. Are there things in there that I think, that should be changed? A lot of the questions I have should be left up to the attorneys, to hash out. Again, at the end of the day, somebody has to defend this once everything gets changed. Because as soon as somebody comes in, they're going to look at, the developer's going to come in once the door opens up to go back to work. Any of the changes that are made, they're going to look at what was there versus what's there, what's currently being proposed. I just think that, my personal opinion is I think it needs to be vetted out. It's one thing with our comments are one thing, but I really think that, the attorneys, need to make sure that everything is, legally vetted out so that there's not going to be any issues, because I don't think that anybody wants to get involved with, with lawsuits over things.
No, I understand.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm respecting your, listen, you know a tremendous amount of information. I was just under the impression that night was our night.
I know,
to
I get it.
Yeah,
I know, and we're not rehashing it. I think, I'm not sitting here bringing it up. I mean, Richard has some thoughts he wants to just discuss, so why don't we just hear what he has to say? Let's do that, and then we'll move forward.
Yeah, we'll look at it in the context of that. I'm not, I'm not going to get into some of these minor details based on what you said, so.
Right. So, I mean, out of what's here.
The purpose of the memo was to summarize what the board had expressed at the workshop. So if in any way I've left something out, or you would like something to be more specific or changed, I mean, let me know. We'll make those changes.
Listen, Richard, don't let me discourage you from bringing up legitimate concerns that you want to discuss. I don't want to do that. I was hoping we weren't going to go down another hour to 2 hour rabbit hole of changing more verbiage tonight. That's all. Let's plan another workshop.
Nobody wants to do that tonight.
Okay.
I don't think any of these were submitted without being vetted by legal, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think they were just...
No. I do think that there's instances with land use law in particular, any vagueness or any broadness of language is interpreted in favor of the applicant and not in favor of the board, right? And so that I think is what Bruce is talking about in terms of the specificity of it, making sure that it's airtight, because if there's any challenge to any anything that is vague or could be interpreted in multiple ways, it will be interpreted in favor of the applicant. Sorry, what were your comments?
Well, let's discuss the comments, because I think we're beyond that portion of it.
No, at this point.
Let's see what else, if we have to modify, does anybody feels that we need to modify out of what's here in the memo currently?
Well, this is kind of picky, but on the smoke and vape shop, which we discussed for half an hour at the work.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know how you measure revenue, say 10% of revenue. I don't know how that gets measured in any way when you're, looking to issue a permit or saying if you're in compliance. So I would stick to the floor space. And I also, there was in the earlier version of the zoning proposal, or in a prior zoning, it talked about overall marketing and branding of the store. Somebody's got a sign out that says smoke shop, vape shop.
Yeah.
That's a good measure of what goes on inside.
How it's
And I would
advertised.
kind of restore that language that was there. And maybe I would also recommend eliminating the revenue measurement and stick to floor space.
Yeah, it kind of gets you to a different quantitative value, that they're going to be selling 90% of other things other than smoke and vape products. Yeah, no, I agree with that one. I don't know, does everybody else feel the same with that, or?
I mean, I'll have to look at how to phrase how it is advertised, because like you said, if you're going to put up a sign that says smoke and vape shop, then that's definitely what you are. But if you put up a sign that says electronic nicotine shop, now you're something else. And then the vagueness of how that sign language gets phrased. I do agree, the percent of revenue should probably be removed, because you can't really demonstrate that at the time of a special permit application. But certainly, what percentage of your square footage are you using to display and sell nicotine products is something that we can look at in a site plan or special permit application. And also, ultimately, these are all just recommendations to the town board. So if you do want language in there, or you think they should consider language about how it advertises, we can add that as something we recommend they consider.
Yeah. So maybe we could, some recommendations for that, for the advertising end of it as well.
And the board can,
Or language that in the special permit, how smoke and vape shops are allowed to advertise. How much are they allowed to put up in terms of visual advertisements or visual signifiers of what their business is. There's lots of businesses where there are limitations on the degree to which you can do that. So that can also be a recommendation if you'd like to see it.
Yeah. To my mind, that probably goes a little too far.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
Just the flag lot, I thought what you had written was good, because I think it's a legitimate issue if the minimum frontage is 100 feet, and there are zones where that's just not allowed. So if there's some other measurement to minimize the effects of flag lots or adverse effects of flag lots while still allowing legitimate land to be developed.
And they had made a change in there, which I was caught to the point of vagueness of language, right? They instead of specifying which zones, they changed the language to be, what leads to larger lots. And that begs the same issue of what is a larger lot, how many acres does a larger lot become? Somebody comes in and says, I don't think 78 acres is a larger lot, and takes you to court, and the vagueness is interpreted in their favor. So I do think that they should define it by which zoning district.
Yeah, I think if you could re-emphasize that would be good. Okay. I'll hold off on any other comments, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and then again, there's the only other one was the tattoo parlors. Just looking at the zoning maps, I don't see how 400 feet, 400 feet is basically almost impossible to meet to a residential district. All the commercial districts back up to some form of residential. It's an unattainable. I see adding it to those zones, but then it becomes an unattainable number in most cases.
Yeah. And if you do it to a residential structure, then the issue becomes what happens when that
How
residential
far is
lot
it? Right. How far is it to that
redeveloped,
structure?
and the building is moved, and
Yeah. Yeah. But it's just a case. It's just a case-by-case thing. It's just I think the 400 may be an unattainable number if we're going to look to allow some, but maybe a smaller number might be a little better.
Okay.
That's all.
I'll take another look at that.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
It was like somebody said at the workshop.
Because the other thing too is then you got the 400-foot distance, and then it's like, if that's the only thing that's holding them back, but we're allowing it, then it becomes every application comes in, it's going to be it's going to go to the zoning board to get a variance. So you're just creating more, an additional step to the process. That's all.
Well, I think we discussed, I don't think we concluded, but tattoo parlors, it's not, somebody said, maybe it was you, but it's not the biker hangouts that they used to be. It's a legitimate
I believe that was the supervisor or something.
Yeah, it wasn't me. I forgot it was that, but it's become more mainstream.
Yeah.
It's more,
Absolutely.
Right.
They're different. They're a different business now.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So.
And they'll get licensed too, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah, they ain't giving out prison tattoos.
So, and, and other than that, then there's, the cluster subdivision, but.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and again, I think some of the other stuff is, like I said, I think, review by legal staff is something that I think just some of the other changes, but that's my personal opinion, with the SWIP changes, I think it's kind of backwards if we're approving a site plan and they're going to another entity to get a SWIP change or a SWIP approved. So, the SWIP is, it's something that's not going to get denied. Let's put it that way. If you want to come on up and speak, Mr. Supervisor.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Supervisor Joseph D. Cavassini, thank you, Chairman, members of the board. In reviewing the town code following the workshop meeting, we actually discovered that the process in which the town board handles SWIP concerning the cluster or conservation subdivisions is actually already in the code. That was not, I was going to say, when you mentioned that at the workshop meeting, you took me by surprise there, because that's not a section that we touched. We only changed the name from conservation to cluster. But otherwise, that was actually how it stands in the town code currently.
Okay.
So I just wanted to clarify that we were not looking to take away any responsibilities of the planning board. The town code currently dictates that, and we believe, again, in speaking to council and again in talking amongst ourselves, the reason for that is that final permit, that final vote is granted by the town board for those special use permit in those section of codes. We believe that's why the code was written in that way. But
I believe the other one, the planned use development, I believe that one, once we approve it, it has to go back for a final approval, which is correct. It has nothing to do with the SWIP.
Exactly. And so that's why we were
But
surprised.
the other approval for the conservation, or what's going to currently cluster, once the town board approves the concept plan, it's given to the planning board, and then it's just approved at that point.
Yes.
So, but it's already pre-approved by the town board. That's why saying, you go through and you make somebody go through a process, they're done with you because you're giving them the approval to build it this way. Once it comes here, it's like, okay, well, now we have to go through, what we're doing is going through all the the other issues on the site, and then it gets approved that way. So-
There is one section of code, again, I apologize, I just happened to hop up here, but it does, then after that, the town board encourages the applicant to then move forward through the planning process, as you described, Chairman, and then it goes back to the town board for a final vote. I believe that's one of those sections of code there. So, again, we welcome the comments. If the planning board wants to, again, take that on, I just wanted to emphasize that it was not a change that we were proposing. That was already in the code. But I just want to emphasize that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. All right, so with that, I guess we'll have we'll get the memo. I guess sounds like it's just really one section that needs to get addressed. Or actually two, sorry.
I've got an introduction articulating the importance of the changes in the context of the moratorium.
Yes.
And general support for the process. Looking at making or recommending changes to the smoke and vape shop definition, removing revenue and instead focusing on floor area percentage.
I'm not sure I agree with that.
No.
With the floor area?
Yeah, because floor area, you can change the way you display things that you're selling, and you could really pack one certain,
Well,
especially vape shops.
they're trying to get, I think they're just trying to decipher between a guy that's half his place is full of, smoke paraphernalia and blah, 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 and a gas station that sells cigarettes behind the counter.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of like pushes them.
It's 10 square feet is the number. So if they exceed 10 square feet, then they're a smoke and vape shop, as opposed to under 10 square feet, then they're just a gas station selling vape products, Yeah, because 10 square feet, no vape shop's gonna stand.
It kind of limits everything to do, because the revenue, how are you going to know what they do in revenue?
Yeah.
The guy gives you, who's going to follow up on it at the end of the day? And then the guy's going to turn around and he's going to be like, he's going to be, cooking the books just to, to make sure he conforms with everything. Yeah, that way if you do the floor space, once the, code enforcement officer walks in the door, they look around, they're like, oh, okay, well, when this was originally opened, you had, this little spot, and it might have been even just a spot behind the counter where things were being sold. And then now they walk in there, whatever, a couple of years later, and
30-foot walk
everything's
full of
like everything's like kind of all expanded with the smoke and vape stuff, and then everything else has kind of disappeared. Kind of gives them a little more teeth, I think, for enforcement at the end of the day. That's my opinion of it.
And then I'm also going to, I don't think I heard specific comments on it, but I'm going to double check what I've got written regarding the flag lot language, potentially tighten that up or strengthen it, and look at tattoo parlor 400-foot buffer language. And I think I called it out, but I will take another look.
Yeah, I think it's if it's something they're looking to use. I agree with the distance, but I just think that looking at the maps, is 400. Is that a reasonable number?
Far.
Huh?
It's pretty far.
It is pretty far, but when you look at it, you're going to a residential district. So if you have a property and everything, every 3 directions of it back up to residential properties.
What's in the code
the property is only 200 feet deep. Automatically that whole, that whole section is basically not going to qualify.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, it may be on a main road, though. Maybe on Route 9 or 9D. But it's immediately adjacent to a residential property, and the lot is only 200 feet deep.
What's the current code? Or it's not?
I don't think it's allowed currently. Is that correct?
The tattoo code was not changed. We kept the distances, everything as it is currently stated in the code. The only thing we added was additional zoning districts that it could be operational in. But currently, as it stands, the distance you're referring to is in the existing code. So if you'd like to make any recommendations, we're open to those as well.
Yeah, I will spell it out this way, but I guess I think that the chairman's concern was that adding it to that residential code and not changing the 400-foot requirement essentially means that without a variance, it can't exist in that.
And I remember that conversation, and we can definitely talk about maybe changing it from residential district or residential property to residential dwelling, because the dwellings at Chelsea Ridge, for example, are definitely more than 400 feet away from the mall that's there. So we were talking about maybe...
Chelsea Ridge, because you did bring that one up, I did look at it. When you look, when you measure from the building to the first building closest to it, which would be in the Chelsea K area. That one there, I believe, when I measured on parcel access, was only 200 and change.
Okay.
That's why, again, that's what prompted me, because that got brought up at the workshop discussion.
400 feet's a lot.
Hence, go to the map and say, all right, let's see what, it looks like. And when you start, evaluating it, it's like, all right, well, where is this really going to, at the end of the day, where is this really going to be, where's it going to work?
Exactly.
And there's very few places that it will. That's the problem.
So if that's, again, the board's recommendation, we're open to that. You're welcome to change that footage.
I think just somebody needs to evaluate the number, whatever it may be. But
Why don't we recommend 200 feet, and then they could always shoot for a variance, just get it under a football field, jeez.
Yeah, we could do that.
Fair point. Fair point.
I mean, we can also recommend a reduction in the buffer distance and leave it up to the town board. If you want to specify a distance, I can look at what that distance makes sense.
150 feet.
150 feet?
Yeah.
And the one thing I would ask is that you acknowledge the fact that that is not changed in the current code, that you'd like for that to be changed.
That in the addition to this zoning district, yes, I'll take a look at that language.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you could also do too, is limited, if you're worried about exposure and what's being, advertised, you also with the, sign, I mean, the signage is one thing, but then what's put in a window, if it's got a big open glass window, that they're limited to, let's say, 20, 30% advertising within that, that overall window space,
I do know that the tattoo code was rather restrictive already. That's why we really didn't touch it.
Yeah, it's just to stop them from being here.
Yeah, and I know that it's very similarly written to other types of adult use shops and how you can put things in the window and how it's, trying to minimize the impact on the community. But again, any recommendations from the planning board will be happy to hear.
I think most of them are actually I think they're usually written within their adult use codes, I think.
Yeah, but that's not even almost an adult use thing anymore.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
One thing that you could recommend is eliminating those provisions of that special permit and leaving it up to the signage code, which is also restrictive, right? I mean, they can't have signage and advertising beyond a certain amount.
20% of, the
Just
window
like any other
coverage.
business.
Yeah.
That they not restrict the advertisement of this business beyond what anything
Anybody else, right, has.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Before I sit back down, is there any other questions, folks?
No, we like watching you come back up.
Listen, Chairman, I don't mind.
We're getting your steps in for the day.
That's all good. I appreciate the transparency and the open conversation, so please, it's not a problem.
Okay. I don't think before I say it, does anybody else have any questions? I think that we addressed everything we needed to address in this memo.
We got it on there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. If you guys are good, then we'll have Malcolm, if you could make some changes to it and circulate that. And everybody wants to give the thumbs up after it's been circulated, then we'll go ahead and get it over to the town.
So as a board, we approve this, basically?
Well, we support
send out
it. That's what we're doing.
Well,
We're supporting it with these recommendations that, that are here in front of us. Right.
Yep.
And I'll put that introduction in, that you are in support of these code revisions and the wider process of code revisions in the context of the moratorium. And Richard, if you have any other sort of nitty-gritty, more detailed things for me, if you want to put
No more, Malcolm. I'm good.
more. No, I do welcome them though. If you want to send me an email, feel free.
Okay.
I just have one thing to say. I'm currently working under zoning with spas in our area, so I just want to say it out loud so that supervisor and the board can hear it. Our definition of massage technician, and I don't know if legal wants to chime in here, but you have to be licensed by New York State to be a massage therapist, and the only other people that are able to legally give massages we don't have something called a massage technician. It's a cosmetologist who can do the facials, foot massages, et cetera. So I think we should tighten that up and not leave any opening for anybody else to be able to do a massage in the town.
Isn't that regulated by the state, though? Because the town doesn't go in and inspect the licenses of a cosmetologist or anything. The state does that.
Well, I've been talking with the state, and technically, when someone comes in for an operational permit, if we do it as a standard protocol, we are able to ask for what they're going to be doing as their services, a list of their services, and then we can ask for the person's appropriate professional license as well as their ID to enable them to do those services, because we're restricting adult uses or illegal actions.
Yeah.
So we can also ask for a copy of the lease to make sure that the property is being rented for the appropriate function.
That's if they're an owner operator, right? Because if they're not, it'd be the operator that's licensed, not the owner.
Correct.
Yeah.
But we can get as many as we possibly can if we're doing it across the board. So
Sure.
I just feel that if we allow that to not be tight, we're allowing ourselves to find people in there that may not be, legally entitled to do so.
Yeah, because your only recourse is to call the state, really.
Right.
Because you can't do anything about that.
If they don't have a license, you're supposed to report them to the state.
You're supposed to report to the state, yeah.
Right, but we, as the town, do not have to allow a massage therapist office to open if they don't have the appropriate licenses.
Right, if they open, right.
If they open.
Right, but you have to require that on the front side.
Right.
Right.
And we
when they
require any
operate,
changes to be brought to our attention.
Right, yeah, they'd be brought to your attention, but if there's some reason, you to investigate whether or not somebody has a license, that I believe is required by the state to take that action, and not the local municipality.
Yeah. Yeah, because like a hair salon doesn't need a license. The operator, or the person doing it needs a license.
They need a business license by New York
Correct.
State, and then they need operators, the individuals need operating licenses. They need a professional license. So if they're a cosmetologist, they can do hair, they can do facials, they can do foot massages.
Yeah.
You can't be in there doing those items without a cosmetology license.
Right, so, but when they apply for the special permit, they have to provide a copy of whoever the owner is, that they have to provide a license, that they are licensed by the state to provide such services.
Correct.
Yes.
But we don't have anything called a massage technician. There is no license for that.
There's nothing.
Massage therapist.
So that's the wording, I'm just saying.
Yeah, massage therapist.
Right.
Are they proposing the use of that language?
It's a definition. So I'm saying if
We have a definition.
Right, massage technician. If we don't have it, it can't be,
Yeah, it
correct?
should be a massage therapist, yeah, is what the.
Well, it should be a massage therapist or a licensed individual to perform massages based on their license.
Which is a massage.
Right, so, that's for massages, but a cosmetologist can do facials, head massages, foot massages. So you would have it restricted to what their license allows them to do. I don't know how you want to word that specifically, but I think that massage technician should not be in there.
Yeah, I think I know.
Is that a proposed change, or is it an existing element of the code?
I think this is, I don't know, actually.
I think if it's in black, it is just an existing definition. that we
Right,
have.
so I think it's something we need to, just my
Just
thought.
make sure we're not overstepping.
Yeah. I can get you, Malcolm, I can get you a reference for that, actually, because we dealt with it not too long ago down in Beacon. I just had
Would you like to
somebody that
see-
came in. I can give you the stuff from the state, because
Would you like to see that recommendation added to the letter?
I can give you a list of different, if you want the terminology for the different things. I think there's a document has it's like 4 or 5 pages. It goes through with the licensing. Came from the licensing bureau through the Department
I
of
have
State.
Department of State, the licensing. I have that as well.
So I have the information. I could probably get that to you.
Sure. Do you want that added to this memo, as far as
Does everybody want
recommendations to the town board?
to feel comfortable if we put that on there as well?
Absolutely.
The definitions of those.
Yeah, just get those
Okay.
definitions.
That they must have.
Yeah, absolutely, get the definition right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could do,
We
yeah.
have to offer what the definition is.
We just have to have the correct definition.
Just that this definition does not comply
the
with
correct label,
what's in the
yeah.
special permit, and should be clear.
But put the definitions of the actual physical, of the physical licenses that would need to be obtained. So if it's a massage therapist
the
or
names of the-
massage technician or whatever, that, that, just putting in there that, that if, whatever, that, that they would have to be licensed, under these titles, and again, the
Our adult use definition rules out anything for a massage other than a massage therapist, which can do the whole body, and a cosmetologist who can only do hands, feet. So that's why I'm saying we should keep it very clean, because our adult definition technically rules out every other type of massage.
Yeah, nail tech can do that,
Legally.
too.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right, so with that,
Make a motion to adjourn.
okay, motion made, seconded, all in favor? Aye. All right, adjourned.